Hi there. I retired at 55, and I think I did it wrong. Not financially, the money side is fine. I mean, the transition itself, how I left work, I think I could have done that better. And I want to tell you about the path I didn't take because if you're anywhere near retirement, it might change how you think about the whole thing. It's called a slow glide into retirement. Not working forever, not grinding until you drop, but intentionally stepping down from your career before you step out of it completely. Here's what I didn't fully understand when I left my job in December of 2024. Retirement is not just a math problem. Your spreadsheet might say you're ready, your portfolio might say you're ready, but your brain, your habits, your identity, the comfort of a paycheck showing up every 2 weeks, those need more time to catch up. I genuinely thought once the financial side was figured out, the hard part was over. I was wrong, very wrong. So, in this video, I want to walk you through the retirement path I didn't take, why it can be powerful, where it goes wrong, and how I think about it now from the other side. If you're planning for retirement or you're close enough that it suddenly feels very real, this is worth hearing before you make the leap. Before we get into it, if this kind of honest, been there perspective on retirement is useful to you, I'd love it if you hit like and subscribe. It helps more people like you find the channel who might need to hear this too. So let's start with how most people actually picture retirement because I think we've all had the same image in our heads. It's a hard stop. Friday you're working, Monday you're retired. One day you have meetings, deadlines, coworkers, structure, stress, and a paycheck, then suddenly you don't. You have time, a lot of time. And don't get me wrong, there is so much about that I love. I love not having someone else control my calendar. I love not having that Sunday night dread, knowing that Monday starts another long, stressful work week. I love waking up knowing the day is mine. But here's what I didn't expect. We underestimate how big of a shock that transition really is because work isn't just income, it provides structure, identity, social connection, and a routine. Work is a reason to get up and show up even when you don't feel like it. And for some people, and this one surprised me, work is also the thing that gives them permission to spend money. When you're working, Monday comes in. You may not love the job, you may be counting the years and days to retirement, but there's comfort in that paycheck. It's like a financial security blanket. Then retirement comes along and says, okay, no, the money doesn't come from work anymore. It comes from that pile you spent years building. And even when the pile is more than big enough, emotionally, that can feel completely different. If you're an early retiree, that shift can feel even bigger because you're looking at a much longer runway. Your money has to last a lot longer than someone retiring at a traditional age like 65, 67, or 70. That pile has to stretch a lot further. That's one reason a slower transition can make a lot of sense. It gives your brain time to catch up with your spreadsheet. So, what does a slow glide actually look like in practice? Because this isn't just one thing, it can take a lot of different shapes. Instead of going from full throttle to a full stop, what if you downshifted? Maybe you go from 50 hours a week to 30. Maybe you leave the high stress role but keep doing some consulting. Maybe you move into part time work in your field. Maybe you retire from your main career but pick up a lower stress job that keeps you engaged and maybe even covers health insurance. If your identity has been built around being useful, reliable, needed, and slightly overfunctioning at all times, retirement can feel like someone yanked away your operating system. And that's exactly what caught me off guard, which brings me to my own story because I think it's relevant here. I spent almost 30 years in healthcare IT. Now, that's a long time to build a professional identity around just one lane. And I'll be honest with you, toward the end, I wasn't happy. I was ready to be done. If someone had offered me the same job with less hours and fewer meetings, I probably would have said, I want zero of this. But looking back now, more than a year into retirement, I wonder if I should have at least explored part time consulting. Not because retirement was a mistake, not because I needed to keep working, but because it might have softened the landing. That first year for me was rough, getting used to my new identity, figuring out how to fill my time, getting comfortable with the fact that no paycheck was coming in, spending from my nest egg. I didn't regret retiring, but I absolutely felt the adjustment and I wasn't prepared for how real that adjustment would be. Now, hindsight is 2020, but that's exactly why I'm making this video. So you can think about this before your career door slams shut. Now, let me give you three concrete reasons why a slower transition can make a lot of sense, especially for early retirees. Reason number one is the money buffer. Even a small income in the early years of retirement helps you to adjust from saving to spending. It helps you ease into retirement as you are still bringing some income in. If you can cover part of your expenses, reduce how much you're pulling from your portfolio, that breathing room helps you with the adjustment. There's a big psychological difference between being fully dependent on your portfolio starting day one versus easing into it while keeping some income coming in. Reason number two is the time problem. When you're exhausted, free time sounds like paradise, and it is for a while. But eventually, all that time shows up, pulls up a chair, and says, okay, what are we doing? And sometimes the honest answer is, I have no idea. That doesn't mean you failed at retirement. It means you spent decades optimizing for work, deadlines, and obligations, not for wide open, unscheduled time. A slower transition gives you time to experiment before you fully commit. Try the hobby, volunteer, figure out which friendships still fit when work isn't the automatic glue holding them together. And figure out what actually gives you energy outside of a job because retirement shouldn't just be an escape from work. It should be a move towards something. And that something doesn't have to be dramatic. It can be a quieter life, better health, more time with your spouse or family. But you need some sense of what's going to fill your days. A slow glide helps you figure that out before you're fully committed. Reason number three is health insurance. For early retirees, this one can be massive. If you retire before Medicare, you have to bridge that gap. ACA marketplace coverage, maybe COBRA for a stretch, something. But if you can find part time work that offers health coverage or keep benefits while reducing your hours, that's a significant financial advantage. Not every employer allows it, but it's worth understanding your options before you walk out the door. Now, how do you actually make this work with an employer? Because that's where a lot of people get stuck. Let me walk you through that. If you're thinking about negotiating a reduced hours transition with your employer, here's the key: frame it around what helps them, not just what helps you. Walking into your boss's office and saying, good news, I'd like to work less and keep my benefits, it's probably not the best way to do this. A better approach is to think about what problem you can solve for them while getting the transition you want. Can you train your replacement, document critical processes, stay on through a major project, shift into an advisory role? I have a friend who had a senior role and basically told their company, I'm planning to retire, but I want to spend the next several months training my replacement and transitioning out cleanly. That was smart. It helped the company. It gave my friend a cleaner exit, and it turned retirement from a sudden disappearance into a planned handoff, which is much easier for an employer to say yes to. But, and this is important, once you tell your employer you're thinking about retirement, you can't put that disclosure back into a box. Some will say yes, some will say no, some will start quietly moving you to the side before you're ready to be moved. So don't have this conversation casually. Know your culture, know your employer, think about if it's a likely option or not, and know what you'll do if they say no, because once it's out there, it's out there. Let's talk about some other ways you could set up the slow glide into retirement. One option is a leave of absence. If your employer allows it, this is worth considering, especially if you're not sure whether you're psychologically ready for retirement, because maybe you just need a break. Because sometimes people don't hate working, they just hate being exhausted, their current role, their current manager, the constant pace, the always reachable pressure. And they mistake all of that for hating all work forever. A break can give you clarity. It might confirm you're done, or it might show you that you still enjoy parts of work when it's not consuming your entire life. So, a slow glide, if you can do it, would make a lot of sense. Another version is changing what work means entirely, not reducing your hours in the same career, but doing something completely different. Maybe you retire from the intense career and do a job with much lower stress, lower responsibility, and lower pay, most likely. But if you were already financially ready to retire, that income is a bonus, not the foundation. Now, what if you've thought about all of this and full retirement is still the right call for you? There's one more thing I'd strongly recommend before you jump. And I wish I would have done it. Simulate retirement before you do it. Not theoretically, actually do it. Try living on your retirement budget for real. See what that feels like. Track what you spend. Take a staycation, but treat it like retirement, not a vacation. See how that rhythm of daily life actually feels. Use the time to answer questions that are really hard to answer from a retirement planning spreadsheet. How do you spend your time when nothing's required of you? Who are you when your job title disappears? Can you actually spend from your portfolio without feeling like you're doing something wrong? Can your marriage handle both of you being around the house together a lot more? These are not hypotheticals. These are real things that catch people off guard, including me. Here's the one thing I really want you to understand. It's one thing to model withdrawal rates and run retirement projections. It's another thing to wake up on a Monday morning and realize nobody needs you in a meeting, which, to be clear, is pretty fantastic, but also really weird. I had no idea how much of my life had been organized around work until work was gone. The schedule, the rhythm, the sense of purpose, even the small stuff, knowing where you're supposed to be and why. A slow glide helps with all of that. It gives you time to separate what you actually want from what you're just trying to escape. If you're escaping a bad job, retirement can look like the solution to everything. But maybe the real problem is that specific job or industry or boss or that specific pace. If that's the case, a different kind of work might be enough, or a bridge, or a slower exit, or it might confirm that yes, you're really done. And that's useful information too. Before you make retirement a light switch, ask whether it could be a dimmer switch. And with that, let me bring this home. If we were having this conversation in person, and honestly, that's what I hope this channel feels like, here's what I'd tell you. For retirement, yes, absolutely know your financials. Understand your taxes, have a solid cash runway, have a plan for health insurance, but also think about the landing. Think about the first Monday in retirement. Think about what happens when the congratulations fade and it's just your life, because that's where retirement really begins. Not on the day you walk out the door, but the ordinary days that follow. I didn't take the slow glide. I'm still glad I retired when I did, but I can honestly say I probably should have thought harder about that transition. And that's one of the advantages of being on this side of it now. I can share the things I didn't fully appreciate before I got here. So as you get close to retirement, especially early retirement, don't just ask, can I retire? Ask, how should I retire? All at once, in stages, with part-time work in my current career, or doing something completely different? How about consulting with a leave of absence first? This is definitely a question really worth asking. If you've already retired, I'd love to hear how you handled this. Did you stop all at once, ease into it, wish you'd done it differently? Drop it in the comments, because real experiences are way more useful than theory on something like this. And if this video helped you think about retirement a little differently, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who's getting close to making the leap. Because retirement isn't just about escaping work, it's about building a life that still feels meaningful, sustainable, and honestly worth waking up for. And that might happen all at once, or for some people, it could happen one step at a time. Before we go, some freebies to share that are available on my Patreon, and the link is in the description. You can join for free and download these from my tools collection. First, you can download my 12-step early retirement planning checklist. It's a practical, easy-to-follow guide that walks you through everything from calculating your FIRE number to building a tax-efficient withdrawal strategy. Second, if you're on an ACA health plan or planning to be if and when you retire, download my ebook, ACA Premium Shock Fix 10 Ways to Pay Less for Marketplace Coverage All Year Long. This ebook gives you a clear, practical framework to lower your ACA premiums legally by understanding and controlling the income number that drives your subsidy, MAGI, or modified adjusted gross income. And lastly, download my ACA MAGI Estimator. It's an Excel template that can be used to estimate your MAGI for ACA health insurance. And you can also use it to keep track of your MAGI if you're currently on ACA health insurance to help you stay within the 400% federal poverty level threshold to maintain subsidies. And if you're interested in more help and while you're on my Patreon taking advantage of the free downloads, you can also check out the paid membership levels. Lastly, go to mikeupland.com for all of my media. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, take care and make the most of today.